If you listen to the clowns on CNN, Trump's just announced lawsuit against big tech doesn't stand a chance in court. But what we're going to find out in this video is how Trump's lawsuit is part of a much bigger strategy, an international strategy to bring the big tech oligarchs to their knees. We're going to look at a worldwide phenomenon known as TECHLASH, how more and more populations want big tech oligarchs crushed, and how nations are beginning to band together to do just that. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, we are your daily fake news antidote, as each and every day we provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Let me ask you, who likes gold out there? Any gold and silver fans in the house? Because I do, and I want you to meet our good friends over at Noble Gold. There's never been a better time to start a gold or silver IRA in your portfolio, and the amazing staff over at Noble Gold, they're ready to help you in any way that they can. If that's not incentive enough, Noble Gold is gifting a 1/10 ounce solid gold American Eagle proof coin with every qualifying IRA or 401k rollover going through in July. So do not wait. Click on that link below or visit their website at noblegoldinvestments.com or give them a call at 877-646-5347. Make sure to mention my name, Dr. Steve, and let's ride that gold wave together. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. There is a massive backlash against big tech going on as we speak. A tsunami of lawsuits threaten to deluge the social media giants in an effort to rein in their inordinate power and their threat to our democracy. So let's begin with the latest, which is the announcement that 36 states, more than half the nation, are suing Google in an antitrust case challenging the company's control over its Android app store. According to Politico, the suit was filed in California federal court in San Francisco in the shadow of Silicon Valley, and it's being led by 36 states plus the District of Columbia. And it involves alleged anti-competitive tactics in Google's Play Store. Basically, as I understand it, the complaint centers on Google's 30% commission fee on all app purchases, which means that every time you buy an app on the Google Play Store, 30% of your purchase is taken off the top by the Google Corporation. And in order to protect that racket, Google has employed a number of anti-competitive tactics to diminish and disincentivize competition in Android app distribution. Now, to add insult to injury, Google is also facing a suit from the Justice Department along with 14 other states that was filed back in October. That suit's focusing on Google's efforts to dominate the mobile search market. Moreover, that suit got piled on with another suit by 38 states accusing Google of expanding their search monopoly through smart speakers, televisions, and cars. And there's even another suit brought on by a dozen states led by Texas Attorney General Bill Paxton over Google's advertising practices. Now, this announcement about the 36-state lawsuit, of course, comes on the heels of President Trump's huge announcement yesterday of a class action lawsuit against big tech CEOs. Trump announced at a formal press conference that he was suing Facebook, Twitter, and Google, as well as their CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg, Jack Dorsey, and Sundar Pichai, claiming that they violated the First Amendment by banning or suspending his accounts, and is calling on the courts to strip big tech of its Section 230 immunity. Section 230 of the FCC gives big tech the kind of immunity that utilities companies get, like phone companies. So social media right now is largely treated legally as utilities. And as such, these platforms are granted immunity by the federal government from being sued if someone uses these platforms in an unethical manner. So just like the phone company, right? They can't be sued if someone uses them to arrange some terrorist attack. That's because the phone company is a legally recognized utility, which is no more responsible for how people use their services than is the electric company. Well, big tech has been legally granted this immunity, and yet that has not stopped them from acting as if they were publishers who could be sued based on the content that they publish. So there's a fundamental difference between a publisher who acts in an editorial manner, deliberately and intentionally accepting or rejecting content that's published on their platforms, and a utility which simply provides the platform for someone to publish, right? There's a fundamental difference between a publishing company that can be sued and the phone company, which allows the publisher to have a multicolor meeting, right? Or the electric company that allows the publisher to keep their lights on during a meeting. Big tech enjoys the legal immunity of utility, like phone companies, electricity companies. They enjoy the legal immunity of a utility, but they exploit that immunity to censor their content as a publisher. So they're acting like editorial publishers who are responsible for content they publish, even though they have been granted immunity from what they publish. So you can't have it both ways, and it's precisely that inconsistency in the way big tech exploits it for its own power that's provoking a massive backlash in the form of what scholars are calling TECHLASH, which is worldwide. You'll definitely want to check out a video I did on the international phenomenon of TECHLASH. We're getting into more of a deep dive on it, but it's a term referring to the growing animus and worldwide hostility towards big tech oligarchs, such as Facebook, Twitter, and Google. And it's a phenomenon we're seeing actually arise all over the world, both in terms of the sentiments of citizens as well as governments. And that's key. This is what CNN, the New York Times, and these other mainstream Marxist media outlets simply don't get when they dismiss Trump's lawsuit as a publicity stunt. This isn't about Trump. This is about TECHLASH and the growing animosity among citizens and governments towards big tech oligarchs. Take a look at this. This is the latest from Gallup in 2021, this year. Those who view big tech positively has fallen from 46% in August of 2019 to just 34% today. According to Gallup, 57%, nearly 60% of those polled want more government regulation of technology companies, up 9 points from 2019. And among Republican respondents, their negative ratings against big tech have risen from 37% in 2019 to 65% negative today. And this growing animosity towards big tech is emboldening governments across the world to sound the alarm and join together in a concerted effort to crush big tech. So, for example, Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a recent virtual meeting with the World Economic Forum, he actually warned that big tech monopolies were in the process of taking power that could indeed allow them to supersede the very power of nation states. And that's because big tech policies are becoming a direct threat to national sovereignty and the rule of law. In other words, sovereign nations have their own laws that define what is and what is not acceptable speech. And big tech feels free to come in and if big tech feels free to come in and serve their citizens, that's great. But Silicon Valley oligarchs have to abide by their laws. And so the way big tech has been bullying social media users around the world is actually now coming back and hitting them hard. We did a video that you'll definitely want to check out on how the Polish government is taking the worldwide lead in fighting back against big tech oligarchs and their suppression of conservative thought and expression. Under the new legislation in Poland, any big tech platform that bans a user or removes posts for ideological reasons is going to face fines of upwards of $13.5 million, right? Now, that's the key here. This is the theme that keeps popping up in this TECHLASH movement around the world. If the speech is not illegal in the nation, then it cannot be banned by Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. Big tech oligarchs are not allowed to dictate to a nation's citizens what does and what does not constitute free speech or appropriate postings. That is the role of a nation's laws, not Silicon Valley sentiments. Otherwise, as President Putin warned, big tech policies are basically usurping national law. So what do all these lawsuits then ultimately mean? What's the game plan here? Again, if you read the mainstream Marxist media, they're dismissing Trump's lawsuit as nothing more than a publicity stunt, right? They're hyper-focused on whether the lawsuit will be successful in court or not. That is not the point of TECHLASH. The massive surge in TECHLASH, frankly, could care less at this point whether the lawsuits are successful or not. They'll just launch another one. The whole point of public and private lawsuits for citizens and governments joining together, it's nothing short of suing big tech into oblivion. Big tech is powerful, no question. They're some of the most powerful companies on the planet, but they simply cannot compete with the seemingly unlimited resources of national governments teaming up to take big tech down. They can't compete with their resources, and they can't compete with their regulatory power. And so these massive lawsuits are in many ways just the tip of the spear of what's to come. Big tech has begun to challenge the power and authority and indeed the sovereignty of international governments. And that challenge is not going to go without a fight. And the collective efforts of worldwide governments to fight back against big tech is going to eventually and inevitably exhaust the pockets of the social media oligarchs. And big tech will eventually get put into its place. And it's sure going to be fun to watch. Now, before you go, you will definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on why Joe Biden's cognitive decline simply can't be ignored anymore. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.